There is a love pattern that has been sitting inside some of the most painful relationships you know, and nobody has named it yet. Not the person living it, not the person loving them, not even most therapists in the room. It looks like coldness. It gets called emotional unavailability. It gets called avoidant, distant, shut down. But what it actually is, what is actually happening underneath all of that stillness, is something far more heartbreaking than any of those words come close to describing. Look at him from the outside for a moment. Reed is the person everyone relies on. He is composed when others unravel. He is steady when everything around him is falling apart. In a crisis, real crisis, the kind that breaks most people, he is the one in the room who doesn't flinch. He remembers things. Small things. The coffee order Mara mentioned once, 6 months ago. The appointment she was anxious about that he quietly asked about the next day. He shows up. He provides. He is there, in every logistical, practical, dependable sense of the word. His colleagues think he has it figured out. His friends think he's the strong one. Mara has always thought that if she just loves him enough, he will finally let her in. From the outside, Reed looks like a man who has everything under control. He never complains. He never asks for anything. He handles it. All of it. Quietly. Completely. Alone. And that is exactly why he is destroying himself. And exactly why she is disappearing. Because the same nervous system that makes Reed extraordinary in a crisis, the same wiring that makes him composed, reliable, unshakable, is the exact wiring that shuts him down completely the moment someone gets close enough to actually love him. The colder he seems, the more he feels. The more Mara loves him, the more his body reads it as danger. He is not indifferent. He is terrified, and neither of them knows it. If you have ever been Mara, if you have loved someone with everything you had and watched them go still, if you have given more, tried more, stayed longer than you had any good reason to stay, because you could feel that they were in there, somewhere behind all that silence. If you have started, quietly and without meaning to wonder whether the problem is you, whether you are simply too much, or not enough, or both at once, if you have ever sat in a room with someone who loves you, you know they love you, and felt utterly, completely alone, this story is for you. Or maybe you're watching because you are Reed. Maybe you're watching because you already know, somewhere you can't quite reach, that the people who love you most are the people you go most cold toward, and you don't know why, and you don't know how to stop it, and the gap between what you feel and what you can show keeps widening no matter how hard you try. If the idea that your silence might be the proof of how much you love someone, not the proof of how little, lands somewhere in your chest right now, stay with us. On Wired for Intense, The Unquiet Mind, and for 16 years we have worked with the science of emotional survival, specifically the ways our nervous systems learned to protect us from love long before we were old enough to question whether that protection was still necessary. What you are about to watch is not a story about a cold man and the woman who loves him. It is a story about a nervous system running a program written in childhood, and two people paying the cost of it with their entire lives. By the end of this story, you are going to understand 5 things that most people spend entire relationships never knowing. First, what is actually happening inside someone like Reed, and why it has nothing to do with how much he loves you. Second, why love itself is the trigger. Why the people who matter most are the people the freeze response hits hardest, and the specific science underneath that cruelty. Third, what it is costing Reed to perform composure every single day. Not emotionally. Physically. What chronic freeze does to a body over time. Fourth, what it costs to be Mara. The particular invisible devastation of loving someone who is present and unreachable at the same time, and what it does to your sense of your own worth. And fifth, what the path out actually looks like. Not a cure, not a breakthrough speech, something smaller and more real than that, and why that small thing changes everything. If you have ever loved someone frozen, or been frozen yourself, everything you couldn't understand is about to make sense. Let me show you what Reed actually looks like, because this pattern has been sitting inside relationships for generations, and everyone who has lived it has been told the wrong story about what it means. From the outside, Reed is a locked room with perfect lighting. He is the man who never raises his voice, never makes a scene, never needs anything in public that he hasn't already quietly handled in private. At work, people call him unflappable. In a crisis, he is the first person anyone calls, because when chaos breaks loose, Reed goes still in a way that feels, to everyone around him, like strength. He is not loud about his love, but he shows it. He fills Mara's car with gas before a long drive without mentioning it. He researches the restaurant for 3 weeks before their anniversary. He remembers everything, not because he is trying to perform attentiveness, but because he watches her. Constantly. From a careful distance. The way someone watches a fire, they are not sure they are allowed to stand near. In relationships, he is the lowest maintenance person in the room. He doesn't ask for reassurance. He doesn't start arguments. He absorbs tension like a wall and gives nothing back, which reads, to everyone around him, as stability. If you told his friends he was struggling, they would not believe you. If you told Mara, she would say, I know. I've been trying to reach him for years. The face he shows the world is calm, composed, present, a perfect blue stillness. And behind it is a nervous system that has not rested in decades. Reed is not calm. Reed is frozen. There is a difference. Calm is the absence of threat. Frozen is what happens when the threat never stops. When the body learned so early and so thoroughly that closeness means danger, that it can no longer distinguish between love and the thing that used to hurt him. On Reed's internal stress scale, there is no zero. There has never been a zero. The best he ever reaches, in solitude, after a long run, in the brief window before sleep, is a 5. When Mara tells him she loves him, he spikes to a 9, not because he doesn't love her back, because love, for a nervous system built in chaos, does not feel like safety. It feels exactly like the thing he learned, as a child, to survive. And the only thing he knows how to do, the only thing that has ever worked, is go still. Go quiet. Go cold. He is not shutting her out. He is trying, in the only language his body knows, not to let the thing he loves most destroy him. Everyone who knows Reed will tell you the same thing. He's the one you call when it's bad. Not to talk, to fix. When a colleague's project collapsed 2 days before launch, Reed stayed until 2 a.m. without being asked and without mentioning it again. When Mara's car broke down 40 miles from home in the rain, he was already in the driveway before she'd finished the call. He doesn't make a production of reliability. He simply is it, quietly, completely, without requiring acknowledgement or thanks. He remembers everything. The offhand comment she made 8 months ago about a restaurant she'd always wanted to try. The way she takes her coffee when she's had a hard week versus a good one. He files these things away and acts on them without ceremony, without flagging that he noticed, without asking for credit. Colleagues admire him. Mara loves him. Strangers read him as a man who has genuinely, enviably figured something out. And not one of them. Not his closest colleague, not his oldest friend, not Mara, who has shared a bed with him for 3 years, can tell you what Reed actually feels about anything, including Reed. What you cannot see, what no one can see, is that Reed is never not afraid. Not of anything nameable. Not of Mara, not of his job, not of the future. Just afraid, a constant, structureless dread running beneath everything, like a frequency no one else can hear. He wakes up with it, he drives to work with it. He sits across the dinner table from the woman he loves, with it humming at an 8, sometimes a 9, in a body that does not know how to come down. Solitude helps. Not because he doesn't want her. He wants her in a way that has no bottom, in a way he has never found words for, and has stopped trying to find words for. Solitude helps, because it is the only place the alarm quiets to a 6. The only place his nervous system stops bracing. When Mara reaches for him, something spikes. When she says I love you and waits, actually waits the way she does, with her whole face open, his chest tightens like a fist closing around something fragile. He wants to cross the distance. Every time, he wants to cross it. His body will not let him move. To understand why Reed cannot move, you have to go back to the room where stillness became survival. He was 7, maybe 8, the first time he understood that needing something was dangerous. Not dangerous in the way children are warned about, not fire, not strangers. Dangerous in the way that mattered more. It made the people he depended on unpredictable. His mother's emotions moved like weather with no forecast, warm and consuming 1 hour, cold and annihilating the next. His father was simply absent in the way some men are absent while still being physically present. A closed door in a human body. So Reed learned the only thing available to learn in that house. Disappear, perform, give everything, need nothing, take up as little space as possible, and the storm will pass over you. Ask for something. Show them you are hungry, or scared, or lonely, and you become a target. Stay small. Stay useful. Stay invisible. He never decided this. No child decides. It simply installed itself beneath language, beneath memory, beneath anything therapy would later be able to reach easily. I am only safe when I disappear. He carried it out of that house in his nervous system like a program still running on hardware it had long since outgrown. Here is the thing that will break your heart once you understand it. Reed is not cold with everyone. With colleagues, he can be generous, even warm, quick to help, easy to talk to. Someone who remembers your name and asks follow-up questions the next time he sees you. With strangers there is no history, no stakes, no accumulated weight of being known. He can be present with them in a way that costs him almost nothing. But Mara, who he loves more than he has language for, more than he has ever loved anything, Mara is the one who shuts him down completely. This is not a contradiction. This is the mechanism. His nervous system was forged in a home where the people who were supposed to love him were also the source of chaos, of punishment, of unpredictable pain. Love and threat arrived from the same direction. They felt in the body of a child with no other reference point, identical. And a nervous system does not forget what it learns first. The intensity of Mara's love, the realness of it, the weight of it, how much it matters, registers in Reed's body not as warmth. It registers as danger. The more she loves him, the louder the alarm. The louder the alarm, the colder he becomes. He is not pulling away from her. He is the only way he knows how to survive her. The body keeps the score. Reed's body has been keeping it for years. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, is designed to flood the system in short bursts, handle the threat, then recede. Reed's never fully recedes. It runs at a low, grinding constant, day after day, the kind of chronic elevation that quietly dismantles everything it touches. His immune system, working overtime against a threat it cannot locate. The headaches he attributes to screen time. The tension across his shoulders that has been there so long he no longer registers it as pain, just as the baseline feeling of existing in his body. He mentions none of this to anyone. Of course he doesn't. But the loneliness, that is the cost the blood tests cannot capture. The particular solitary confinement of being locked inside your own nervous system, while someone who loves you is sitting 3 feet away. Mara is right there. She is warm and present, and she would stay through anything. He knows this somewhere beneath the alarm, and he cannot reach her, cannot let her reach him, can only sit inside the glass, watching her on the other side of it, wanting something his body will not allow him to want. He is performing fine. He is burning down. She doesn't scream. That's the thing about the real endings. They don't announce themselves. Mara sits across from him on the couch they picked out together, and she says, quietly, "The way you say something you have been holding for so long, it has lost its edges. I feel alone. I feel alone when I'm with you, and I don't know how much longer I can do that." Reed's face goes blank. Not cold, not dismissive. Blank, in the way of a man whose brain has just lost access to language. Broca's area, the region that produces speech, goes offline under sufficient emotional threat. This is documented. This is physiological. This is not a choice. He wants to speak. He can feel the words somewhere below the surface, can feel the enormous, urgent weight of everything he needs to say to her. I know. Please don't go. I am in here. I am so in here, and nothing comes. Mara watches his face go still, and reads it the only way she knows how to read it. See. Nothing. There is nothing there. She begins to turn away. And something in Reed, something that has lived its entire life behind glass, something that has never once moved toward the thing it wanted most, moves. This is not a story that ends with everything fixed. Fixed is not how this works. What Mara has learned, slowly, imperfectly, with setbacks she did not anticipate, is that Reed's silence was never her verdict. It was never a measurement of her worth or her lovability or how much space she was allowed to take up. It was a man doing the only thing his nervous system knew how to do. Understanding that did not make the silence easier immediately, but it made it mean something different. And meaning is where everything begins. What Reed has learned is learning, one small, terrifying micro-request at a time, is that his needs do not detonate the people who love him. That he is allowed to say, "I'm struggling," without the walls coming down. That her love, which once registered as the loudest alarm his body had ever heard, can be practiced into something that finally, gradually, feels like what it actually is. Safe. The relationship on the other side of the freeze is quieter than either of them expected, less dramatic than the breaking. But there is something in it that neither of them has ever had before. A presence that doesn't cost everything to sustain, a love that both of them can actually feel. He didn't go cold because he didn't love her. He went cold because he loved her more than his nervous system knew how to survive. And the day he finally understood that, so did she. What you just watched wasn't fiction. Reed's freeze. The moment his face went blank, the moment words stopped coming, the moment he turned away from the person he loved most, that has a name in neuroscience. It's called a dorsal vagal shutdown. In 1994, researcher Stephen Porges published the polyvagal theory, a discovery that changed how we understand the human nervous system forever. He found that when a person experiences overwhelming emotional threat, real or perceived, the oldest part of the brain takes over. Not the thinking brain, not the feeling brain, the survival brain. And it does one thing: it shuts everything down. Speech, warmth, connection, gone. Not chosen, not weaponized, automatic. In 1986, Mary Main at UC Berkeley documented what happens to children who grow up in environments where the person they need comfort from is also the source of fear. She called it disorganized attachment. And she found something that has haunted developmental psychology ever since. These children didn't have a strategy. Every other child, when frightened, moves toward their caregiver or away from them. Disorganized children did both at the same time and then collapsed. Reed learned to collapse inward, invisibly, perfectly, and he never stopped. The ACE study, the largest investigation of childhood trauma and adult health ever conducted, followed over 17,000 people across 2 decades. It found that the kind of emotional chaos Reed grew up in doesn't just shape personality. It reshapes biology, immune function, hormone levels, cardiovascular risk, life expectancy. The body doesn't forget what the mind learned to perform through. Mara almost didn't make it. Not because she didn't love him enough, because nobody had ever told her what she was actually looking at. She thought she was losing a man who didn't want her. She was watching a nervous system that wanted her so much it couldn't function. What changed everything? Not a breakthrough conversation. Not therapy. One hand. In the dark. That stayed. Neuroscientist Daniel Siegel calls this a corrective relational experience. A moment where the nervous system receives evidence that contradicts everything it was trained to predict. Safe, present, real. Every one of those moments rewires a pathway. Every one of those moments is how earned secure attachment is built. Not in an office, not in a quiz, but in the accumulated weight of small, repeated moments of being reached for and not destroyed. Reed is not broken. He is running outdated programming in a body that survived something it should never have had to. Your silence isn't a defect. It's a survival program that has simply stayed past its expiration date. We're here to help you update that code. Join the Wired for Intense community as we move from frozen to felt. Subscribe, like, and share your story in the comments to keep learning the language your body has been speaking all along. And the programming, the science is clear, can be updated.